At 4 a.m. on the 16th of September 2025, Burkina Faso uncovered a massive weapons convoy, an operation that sent shockwaves across the globe. Personally directed by President Ibrahim Traore, security forces seized 57 trucks, heavily loaded with firearms and military supplies. The find raised immediate, urgent question. Who were these weapons intended for, and who orchestrated this delivery? The ambush happened in the Canary Zone, not far from the border with Togo. During standard surveillance rounds, Border Patrol spotted an unusually large convoy traveling on rural backroads in the dead of night. The sheer number of vehicles and their timing sent up instant alarms. Captain Moussa Kabore, commander on site, contacted top officials without delay. Initial manifests claimed the cargo was humanitarian aid, but the route, the hour, the secrecy, nothing added up. Without wasting time, President Traore placed a direct call to Special Forces leader General Ibrahim Traore and gave a quiet but firm order. Stop that convoy. Proceed with caution. This might be something far bigger. A response team was rapidly deployed using aerial surveillance from drones and helicopters. They tracked the convoy through its final miles. At precisely 4 a.m., the ambush was triggered. The road ahead was blocked. Drivers tried to flee but were apprehended within moments. The contents of the first truck confirmed every fear. Hidden beneath sacks marked as aid were crates of assault rifles, grenade launchers, tactical gear, and explosives. Truck after truck revealed the same deadly cargo. Captain Kabore radioed the palace immediately. Mr. President, it's real. This isn't just illegal arms. This is a mobile arsenal. Traore, steady and sharp, replied, lock it all down. Not a single item escapes. Get answers from those drivers. Someone is plotting something dangerous inside our borders. The scope of the seizure, both in volume and logistics, ruled out random trafficking. This was something coordinated, something deliberate. The only questions that remain now are, who was this arsenal meant for, and how long has this plan been in motion? The investigation unfolds. The captured driver, Marc-Antoine Zongo, was the first to break. Shaking with fear, he finally spoke. They told us we were hauling agricultural machine parts. We were to drop them off at a warehouse in Togo, and from there, they would be shipped overseas. But as investigators dug deeper, the story unraveled. What came to light was staggering. Most of the drivers truly had no idea what they were transporting. But the organizers, they knew exactly what they were doing. Each truck had been dispatched from a different location, at different times, using different routes. They only joined up just before crossing the border, a deliberate move to avoid suspicion. By the second day, investigators uncovered even more disturbing details. Burkina Faso's intelligence team managed to recover partial serial numbers on the weapons, even though many had been filed off. Using advanced forensic technology, they traced the weapons to surprising sources. Some were leftovers from the Libyan civil war. Others had been used in Yemen, and some were brand new, straight from the factory, never fired once. The total value of the haul, over $700 million. That raised the most pressing question. Who had the kind of money to fund this, and what were they planning? President Ibrahim Traore immediately called an emergency meeting of the National Security Council. The full inventory of the seized arsenal was laid out on the table. 25,000 AK-47 second, 10,000 M16 second, 13 million rounds of ammunition, 70,000 hand grenades, 2,500 rocket launchers, 400 anti-aircraft missiles, and 50 tons of explosives. Defense Minister General Sadou was stunned. This isn't just a shipment, he said. With this firepower, you could invade an entire country. Interior Minister Husseini Kore added grimly, if these weapons had reached the wrong hands, Burkina Faso would be in chaos right now. Terror groups could have launched a long-term insurgency. Worse, this could have fueled a full-blown coup. President Traore stood and addressed the room. This is not random. This is part of a much bigger plan to destabilize our country, just like Libya, Syria, and Yemen. But we are not asleep. We have just stopped something huge. Then, Commandant Ouedraogo, head of intelligence, delivered another bombshell. Mr. President, one of the drivers just gave us a name. The weapons were headed to secret warehouses in Ouagadougou. That's where they were going to be distributed. Without hesitation, President Traore ordered, launch a full-scale operation in Ouagadougou. Search every suspicious warehouse. Find out who is waiting for these weapons. And most importantly, trace the money. Follow the finances. That's where the truth will come out. This was no ordinary smuggling case. It was an attempt to ignite a war from the shadows. And Traore might have stopped it just in time. The next day, at dawn, Operation Storm began in the capital. Simultaneous raids were conducted at 23 different addresses. Weapons were discovered in 17 warehouses. Among those arrested were familiar names: former ministers, retired generals, wealthy businessmen, and even foreign diplomats. Their common trait: open opposition to the Traore administration. By the fourth day, the investigation took a shocking turn. One of the arrested suspects, a prominent businessman named Francois Bongo, cracked under pressure. His confession hit like a thunderclap. Barely able to speak, he admitted this wasn't just about weapons. The plan was set in motion months ago. Foreign powers promised us their support. The goal was clear: overthrow President Traore and install a pro-Western puppet government. President Traore leaned forward and asked the million-dollar question: which foreign powers? Bongo hesitated. Then, trembling, he revealed the planning meetings were held in Accra. Some delegates came from Abidjan. The instructions came from Paris, and we got the green light from Washington. The room fell into stunned silence. No one moved. Calmly, President Traore said, "Go on," and Bongo laid it all out. Here was the plan. The plan was chilling: stage terrorist attacks to create mass panic, use the chaos to mobilize opposition groups, then, with the help of traitors inside the army, launch a military coup. Even worse, this was no amateur plot. The operation had a name: Operation Restored Democracy. Its budget, $700 million, and the 57 trucks of weapons were only phase one. Under pressure, Francois Bongo dropped more names, and some were jaw-dropping. Allegedly involved were diplomats from Western embassies, executives at multinational corporations, and even officials from international NGOs. President Ibrahim Traore knew the world needed to see the truth with their own eyes. He called a nationally televised press conference, one that would go down in history. Behind him stood a towering display of the confiscated weapons. Viewers at home were stunned by the sheer scale of the arsenal. He began: "My fellow Burkinabe, and to the international community, 3 days ago, we intercepted the largest weapons smuggling operation in our nation's history. But this was more than smuggling. It was part of a coordinated plan to destroy our country from within." Holding up a stack of classified documents, he continued, "Here is the proof. 47 trucks, $100 million worth of military hardware. The goal: to plunge Burkina Faso into chaos, to pit our people against each other, and to install a government that answers to foreign powers, not to our citizens." Traore's voice grew firmer. "Where did the weapons come from? I cannot reveal all the details yet, but know this: imperialist powers still think they can control Africa. They are wrong. We are no longer asleep. We are wide awake." Journalists erupted with questions. CNN: "Which countries are behind this?" Traore: "The investigation is ongoing, but some of the weapons were manufactured in NATO countries." BBC: "Who are the masterminds?" Traore: "So far, 17 individuals have been arrested, including former ministers and generals. Informants are talking. The full truth will soon be known." Al Jazeera: "How will this impact regional security?" Traore: "This is not just an attack on Burkina Faso. This is an attack on all of Africa. Similar plots are unfolding in Mali, Niger, and Guinea. We must unite." Russian press: "Will you tighten security?" Traore: "Absolutely. The army is on high alert. Borders are locked down, and most importantly, our people are with us." To close the press conference, Traore played a video clip of Francois Bongo's full confession.